The controversial influencer and podcaster Andrew Tate has been detained in Romania alongside his brother as part of a human trafficking and rape investigation. Now, Romanian prosecutors have asked for a 30-day extension to the arrest of the reality star. In a statement, which did not mention Tate by name, they claimed two British citizens had lured women by engendering, real feelings of love, only for them to be sexually exploited by members of a group that also included two Romanians using physical violence and mental coercion. Now, a lawyer for Tate confirmed the detention, and while the former Big Brother contestant did not make an official statement, a post on his recently reinstated Twitter account this afternoon appeared to allude to the arrest. It said, "The Matrix sent their agents." Now, to discuss the swift rise and potential downfall of Andrew Tate and his complicated position in the drive for free speech, I'm joined by the author and columnist Emma Woolf and Benjamin Loughnane, research fellow at the Bow Group. Let's start with you, Emma. Thank you for joining us. What can we take away from the most remarkable last few days in this saga?
Well, I think even to call Andrew Tate a defender of free speech actually tarnishes the name of free speech. This is a deliberately provocative, unpleasant, nasty, possibly violent, I'm not going to go too far on that one, unpleasant individual. Part of his brand is to be extremely abusive about women, whether or not physically, but actually certainly verbally. He talks about women being the property of men. He talks about rape victims bearing responsibility for their attacks. And this is part of his brand. And there's, sadly, a lot of men out there who love this. And this man has millions and millions of followers. He's been banned on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, briefly banned on Twitter as well. He was banned back in 2016 on Twitter. And this is his shtick. This is what he does. This is how he thrives on it. This is how he's made millions of pounds. He's clearly loving it. You can see from that tweet about the Matrix sending their agent that he's not taking it seriously at all. And I think I'm a defender of free speech as well. But I think it's time to end this kind of casual, verbal and sometimes physical violence against women. We've seen it with Jeremy Clarkson last week, using casual, violent language to talk about Meghan Markle. We're seeing it now with Andrew Tate. And I think it tributes to a culture which is unpleasant, nasty, and unfortunately taps into the way that a lot of men are starting to think about women.
Now, Benjamin, what do you say to that? Should we throw Andrew Tate and Jeremy Clarkson in this sort of basket where these people shouldn't be listened to?
Yeah, I don't think you can compare Andrew Tate and Jeremy Clarkson. I'm no big fan of Andrew Tate. I think his shtick, as it were, is completely provocative, deliberately provocative, designed to cause the most controversy, to generate views and traffic. It's deliberately provocative. It's not about good faith debate or conversation, and he's a terrible role model for young men. But because we have so few good role models for young men, people flock to people like this, someone who's very good at provoking, saying the things that you're not allowed to say. He's a bit of a bad boy. People like it. But effectively what his whole shtick is just being a bit of a prat, to be honest. So I'm no defender of him, but you can't conflate he and Jeremy Clarkson. They're not in the same league whatsoever. But I think he makes a very good case for free speech. I mean, someone like Andrew Tate, who goes on to Twitter, having been unbanned the other day, and immediately makes a rod for his own back and turns everyone against him, and people are now effectively delighting in the fact that he's been arrested. Surely letting him go out and air his views and people reject them, that is the spirit of free speech. That's the whole purpose of free speech, giving him the opportunity to go out and giving other people the opportunity to say, no, we don't actually like that very much.
Emma Woolf, what do you say to that? That actually, in many ways, it was Andrew Tate regaining his Twitter account. It was the new sort of free speech administration at Twitter that may well result in his own downfall.
Well, yeah, possibly. It may well have been the spat with Greta Thunberg that, in the pizza boxes, which allegedly showed him in Romania. In fact, he's been being investigated for several months now. And all of this, yeah, as you say, the Elon Musk era. But this, look at him there with his great big cigar. And it's just pathetic. He's actually a very, very sad individual. But on a more serious point, Tom, weirdly, in this kind of ultra-cautious era, this Me Too era, which I deplore, where you can't say anything about women, you can't even kind of ask someone out for a drink without being kind of accused of sexual harassment. I hate all that. But there is a growth. We have seen a growth. And maybe we're just seeing it being revealed. But you remember the Charing Cross police officer tweets. You remember this kind of stuff where we're seeing this kind of deeply misogynistic and actually violent and aggressive language around and attitudes towards women. And I think that actually, I'm no shrinking violet, but I think it is actually in contributing to a really, really dangerous culture in which women, and I'm certainly no defender of Meghan Markle either, but I think it is fair, Benjamin, to conflate the Jeremy Clarkson with Andrew Tate, because it's a kind of, yeah, but I can say this stuff. Well, no, you actually can't, and there is a line. And I'm such a defender of free speech, but I still feel there's a line.
Benjamin, on that point, is there a line? Of course, we have seen some really horrendous violence against women and girls in the last year or two in particular. Has this language contributed to it?
Yeah, I think they're completely different situations. I mean, Andrew Tate actually does say that women are inferior to men. This is part of his philosophy. This is part of what he puts out there. And a lot of that is to generate views. It's to stir up controversy. That's not what Jeremy Clarkson did. Jeremy Clarkson said about one particular person, Meghan Markle, who is, not the most savoury of characters, that he said something that was effectively too far. It was a bit of a controversial joke, but it wasn't targeted at women in general. Andrew Tate actually does make his whole personality, his whole character, and his entire shtick about the superiority of men over women. Now, the two things are completely different. You can't put them in the same category at all. And there is a very clear line between the two.
Emma, you were trying to get in there.
Yeah, sorry, Benjamin, but with respect, there was something totemic about talking about a woman being paraded through the streets and having excrement thrown at her, which wasn't, it was broader than Meghan Markle, actually. I think Jeremy Clarkson, well, the Sun completely, missed the point there. The editor was clearly asleep or off for Christmas. They had to quickly apologise. There's something about that which is about the culture of women and treating women in the public eye like that. Andrew Tate said that if a woman accused him of cheating, he refers to getting out the machete, and then goes on to talk about violent stuff, which I'm not going to go into. It's just not acceptable. We have to accept that it's just not acceptable language to use around women.
But Benjamin, on the point of language, does this flow into that wider societal issue?
Well, I do think, free speech is the best way. It's sunlight is the best detergent, as they say. If you have someone like Andrew Tate coming out saying this really volatile, nasty stuff, people are going to reject it. They're going to look at that and go, my God, that is horrific. That's awful what you said about the machete. I think most people probably, apart from perhaps very immature young men who will grow out of it, hopefully, most people will look at that and think that's very unsavoury. If you look at Twitter now, I don't think anyone's really taking Andrew Tate's side. Even the sort of people who are massive defenders of free speech, people on the more conservative side who, might be cast as his defendants, are all sort of disowning him and saying, no, this guy is, he's quite a horrific person. The things that he said are disgraceful. So I think, letting him air those views is the best way to reject those views. It puts them out in the open. He's open about what he thinks and what he says, and it's on us to turn around as a society and say, thank you, but no, we've had enough of that.
But Benjamin, intellectually, you're rejecting that. But why does Andrew Tate then have millions of followers on TikTok, YouTube? Yeah, they may be less intellectual, less mature platforms than Twitter, for example. But even when he's been banned from these platforms, his followers are then resharing content on TikTok. He has made fortune on this brand, on this deliberate provocation.
I think
Emma, I started with you, so we'll let Benjamin finish. To sum up this debate, Benjamin, what do you say?
Well, I think just to answer that point, I think the reason he has so many followers is because he's a provocateur, and anyone who's provocative is going to generate traffic. I promise you, at least half of the people who watch his videos and subscribe to his channel are hate watching. They're watching it to get outraged and to hate him. And you see a lot of people like this nowadays in the media and on social media in particular who generate clicks and traffic and money by deliberately provoking negative reactions to their content. I think we've got a toxified culture, certainly by social media. And, if you want to attack Andrew Tate for that, then, you're missing the point. It's the whole culture.